Hi, and welcome to the Souls and Simulation podcast. We are your hosts, Devin and Angie, and this podcast provides an alternate view on life after death, processing everything that's wrong, and possible solutions on how to get it right in the afterlife.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to this is episode 3, right?
Yeah,
The
episode
third
3.
one. Saturn, the big ugly.
Yeah, we decided since our last episode was on the Black Sun, we were like, let's do Saturn. Let's just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, we
Let's just go darker, ever more darker.
I'm sure that's how it'll like be with us though. Like just continue going deeper and deeper down the holes and darker. But
I gotta tell you, this ruins like a lot of it's probably gonna sorry, I'll apologize in advance. It's gonna ruin a lot of things for you guys. Like I'm not celebrating Christmas anymore. I'm not gonna be wearing rings on, of any sort. Yeah, it's really kind of uh it's really sad how it's infiltrated our lives without us knowing it, and that it goes so far back to like the beginning of the first civilization,
yeah.
all the way back to Mesopotamia. So, yeah.
Yeah, buckle up. Buckle up.
Exactly. It's like as a matter of fact, I think the day after I learned about the Christmas celebrations from the Saturnalia tradition in Rome, um, like for like all the rest of the night. I was bummed out. I was like, man, really? Even that? Can't even put Christmas lights up without paying homage to this thing?
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
yeah.
man. All right, so we'll get into that, but should we start off with first discussing Saturn and some physical attributes of it?
Yes, let's do that.
Okay. All right. So, Saturn is the planet of restriction. It's the planet of karma and life lessons, and it is the sixth planet from the sun, and it's known as a gaseous giant. And so Saturn, if you look at pictures of it, it has this hexagonal pattern at the top of it on its north pole, and it's said to not be physically dense at all. And if you were to try to walk on it, you would fall through it.
Yeah, but that's the 25% or the 75% hydrogen, 25% helium, they say.
So it also has, it's confirmed that it has 274 moons. And I read that it was theorized that these moons could support life on Earth. Um, but yeah, do you want to add on that at all?
I Not so much about the moon, their moons or its moons. That's a lot, by the way, 274.
Isn't it?
But
Yeah.
I know I saw that number and I was like, that's insane. But also that the rings around it, speaking of moons, that they think it's like moons that have moons, asteroids, and other things that have basically moons that have imploded, and the debris from those moons, asteroids and other things. Those rings collect that, and if they're actually ice.
Yeah.
And they're so it's not actually those rings. Nothing about it supposedly is solid. Even the rings, it's just debris flying around it. And I, matter of fact, I sent you a clip of the sound that NASA basically looked at the trajectory of the rocks, the velocity at which it moves, all that kind of stuff, and pull it in a computer generator because there's no sound in space, but they put all that stuff in their computer, let it crunch numbers, and that's the sound. And anybody can go on YouTube and type it in and check it out. It sounds like souls to me. And I had somebody here while I was viewing it, and they said the same thing. Their words were, it sounds like a billion souls screaming.
Yeah,
And I agree.
it was very eerie. Yeah. Yeah, and if you listen to it, you can look up all of the planets, all of the sounds that they make and listen to it. And I think that Saturn was the creepiest, the eeriest, the most just unsettling, like flat, creepy, just
Yeah, for
sound.
sure.
Yeah.
And up there at the top of the where you were talking about the storm, the hexagon, that's the cube. as well, the black cube that everybody references to,
Yeah.
which is prevalent in our society everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, you can take that shape and turn it into a 3D cube and a lot of other things that
Across.
get across. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to add to the physical attributes?
Um, no, I don't think so. I mean, I think that pretty much because the physical attributes are that's just kind of a just to give the full picture of it.
Yeah.
That's the physical aspect of it, but the worst of it is everything else that we're going to cover.
Yeah.
I think that's more. I don't have anything more to add on the physical part of it.
Okay. Yeah, same here. Same here. All right. So next,
Although, it is interesting that, that Saturn and Saturday is Saturn Day.
yeah. And Saturday, a day of rest after a busy, structured day at or week at work.
It's also the Jewish Sabbath, which
Sabbath.
is going to be real interesting as we move forward. That's going to be an interesting component to all of this, I think. But
Yeah.
they picked that day for their Sabbath, and when you look at where that religion comes from,
Mhm.
actually, and we could argue all religions actually have a plant from all of this, as we're going to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. Saturn has been um here since the very beginning. Some sort of, been part of mythology, religion in some way, shape, or form.
And even the ancient peoples, it's looking like that they were worshiping it as well, just from day one. With even all of their little gods and their idols and things like that were paying homage to this, even if not in name, that's the idea behind it. So it's really kind of bizarre. I mean, even Christianity in its own way does, even though you don't know that that's what you're worshiping. So it's really odd.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to get into the pre-sun and the astrology of it? Because that's more your
Sure.
jam than it is mine. I have to admit, I'm really real ignorant, very ignorant when it comes to astrology and all of that. So, but I do plan to learn from you in the future, though.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'll definitely teach you. It's good to know it to later help you understand how how the planets are affecting us, what games they have, how they're trying to trick us. And just it really helps you to gain a wider perspective on your life and your circumstances and like moving forward and how it all just ties together. Uh,
Is your astrology that you're born with, is that their program for you in the life that you're living?
yeah, that's one of them.
Okay,
That's one of them.
great.
Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
they've programmed all the planets. And when you look at your birth chart, it actually looks like if you look at your whole entire birth chart, it looks like this spider web and
Ew,
these little
really?
planets stuck everywhere. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's just, it's kind of like your karmic blueprint. But you can also use it to just learn about yourself and really go into like gnosis of you. So that part is good. Yeah.
I already learned a lot from you because I lived my whole life thinking I was, as I mentioned in the other podcast, Capricorn Sun, Leo ascending, and Pisces Moon, and come to find out because of sidereal, I'm actually Sagittarius with Cancer's. Wait, was it Aquarius ascending or
You had
Cancer?
a Aquarius moon, I think, and then you
Yeah,
had
that was it. Cancer ascending.
Cancer rising. Yeah.
Yeah, and Sagittarius Sun. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the sidereal, the true sidereal one too is so much more accurate. Yeah. I think I see Sagittarius in you so much. And the Aquarius moon too. Yeah, very like intellectual, very just otherworldly, but in like the good way. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it does make sense. I'm just glad I'm not under Capricorn. If I had to, that would be my least favorite, being that is over Saturn's over Capricorn.
Yeah.
That would really just, after learning all this, that would really be upsetting, even more
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and those who have a Capricorn, uh, when they have it in their major planets, like their sun or their moon, Um, it has some it's a hard placement to have, especially your moon. It usually stems from traumatic childhood or absent parents, something like that. It's not an easy placement to have in your chart. But going into that, I wanted to kind of talk about pre the sun we have now and how Saturn showed up, how Saturn was seen as the central original sun beforehand. So, and then I'll get into the astrology. So, the sun we know today is very different from the sun we once knew. And the Saturn sun in ancient times is contemporary occultist groups. They also referred to it as the dark sun or the dark lord. They also referred to it as the black sun. So early star worshippers, they would speak of this great light like heaven that was motionless and bright in the sky. And it was even bigger and brighter than the sun we have now. And so all of the references to the earlier sun, so when they would use words like Helios, Ra, Sol, they were actually originally referring to Saturn. And Babylonians would refer to Saturn as Shamash. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correct. And then in Greek texts, Helios was referred to as Saturn. And it was the same thing in Egypt and Rome. So we were using the terms for sun for Saturn. Um, and then there were two authors that I did a little bit of a deep dive. And one was Dave Talbot, and he has a book. I forgot the name of his book, but you can check it out. Check his name out if you want. And he says that Saturn dominated the sky in ancient times. And then there is a ex-NASA employee who I actually really liked, and he wrote a book called The Ringmakers, and his name is Norman Bergrun. And so he talks about an alien ET race that was they're black, like actual skin, like the color black, of an ET race living on the rings of Saturn. And he talked about how really interesting. He has a bunch of videos online too, and talks about it in his, book. And yeah, if y'all want to check him out more, I thought he was pretty interesting. There was a lot he wouldn't share because he was afraid of what would happen to him if he shared too much information. So he's closed off, but he was giving enough information, whether that um, some of it was the truth, some of it was not the truth. You can discern for yourself in that aspect. So now getting into the astrology of Saturn. So Saturn, like we were talking about earlier, it's the ruling planet of Capricorn. And so Capricorn governs the 10th house, which is your career. It's how you show up in the physical. It's one's public image, and it's also their legacy. And if you look at the Saturn sign, it's like a cross and also a sickle.
Right.
And later we'll get into Saturnalia and how um, talking
Oh,
more about the sickle. But the term Saturn sickle refers to that symbol, and it was associated with both Roman Saturn and the Greek Titan Cronus. And it's a symbol of time, harvest, agriculture, life and death, balance and order. And I don't want to get too much into Saturnalia because I feel like you're gonna give it to us for that. But it was also,
yeah.
yeah, it was so Saturnalia was a holiday that they celebrated where they had
You
themes
know,
of,
just to mention other names, like you had mentioned the Greeks, Kronos, in Mesopotamia, or well, I mean, he was known as Nintura,
Mhm.
the god of boundaries and fate. In Egypt, he was associated with Set, which I thought was interesting. I didn't know that. Um, in uh, which was with Set was associated with the god of isolation
Mm.
and storms and the western horizon. And the Hellenistic culture, you mentioned the Greeks, Kronos,
Yeah.
the god who devours time, and in Rome, known as Saturn, as the god of sowing harvest and eater of his children, which is probably, and they were probably influenced from the Greeks. So there you have it.
Yeah. Eater of his children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
which makes sense in terms of the whole. I'm sure it has other meanings. They took it literally, but also figuratively as far as time.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd just throw in the extra names there while you had mentioned
Yeah.
you know, the ones, the two that you had mentioned about the Greeks and, um, what was the other one that you said?
I forgot now. The
Chrono. Oh, there it is. Chronos
okay.
and then you just mentioned that he was a Roman god Saturn,
Yeah.
the Roman god Saturn. There we go.
Okay. So yeah, the sickle used in astrology, that's the Saturn symbol. And so Saturn in your chart, Saturn is known as the great teacher through suffering, the Lord of time, the Lord of karma. It distributes our lessons and it balances the scales. And it also can represent divine timing. Um, my little quotation marks there. So now we're going to talk about the Saturn return. And Angie, I want you to think back to when you were 27, 28, 29 years old. And so, I'm going to read this real quick and then we'll talk about kind of Saturn returns. So, Saturn, it takes about 28 to 29 years to circle around the sun. And when it reaches the same spot in your chart, or when it goes into that sign for what your Saturn return is in, people go through what's called their Saturn return. And it happens between 26 to 30. And then it happens again at 60 because it goes around every, 30 years. And so this is a really difficult time for people. You have to mature, you have to grow. You're going to be hit with a bunch of karma if there are unlearned lessons. And the first year or two can be really, really bumpy. And you might have like lessons one right after the other. And so Saturn is associated with our karmic legacy. Ugh, that word karmic. Ugh. But
it's,
what we're
it's such BS.
yeah, right. Oh my gosh. But yeah, it has to do with, our karmic legacy. And if we aren't on the right path, Saturn is going to make sure that we get knocked over, like the wind knocked out of us, and we get set back on path. So it's heaviest within those first 2 to 3 years of it happening, but it actually lasts 7 to 8 years. And for people experiencing their first Saturn return, they get hit one more really heavy time around age 33, which is also known as the crucifixion year, which was when, Jesus got crucified. And really get hit one more time if you haven't learned your lessons, if you're not where you're meant to be, um, you're gonna get knocked over. Yeah, can you think back to um, your late 20s and
Oh yeah, it turned into a mess, actually. A breakup involved in there, like three moves within like 3 years.
yeah,
Yeah, there was a lot.
yeah,
It was not a good, I would say from like 28 to like 31. Not a good period.
yeah,
33 wasn't fun either. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. Mine was real rough too. I was uh, struggling with like alcoholism and addiction and um, yeah, a lot of just different health issues and stuff for another day, I think. But yeah, I really had to get it together, and it took me a couple times to really get it straight. But now I see it as, I'm very glad for where I'm at now. Saturn also rules over structure. So lawmakers, judges, fatherly figures, law enforcement, government officials, and it rules over power, control, discernment, and discipline.
So I have first of all a comment on that when you were talking about, the karma and the 20 and then getting, and you have if you haven't learned your lessons, who the hell does this thing, this being or whatever that's associated, so I think they are to teach us or to tell us what we have to learn, first of all. And second of all, what do you say to that? to like the whole discipline and structure and like I mean, because to me, the stuff we're learning here is there's no point. I'll tell you what I've learned here.
Mhm.
I've learned that people like are duped into killing each other. People are duped into going to war for resources, for other people that have power. That people get hurt, that the whole thing is a big freaking scam. That's the only lesson you need to learn here. So, like, my question to you is like, what do you think of this whole system of, every 28 years, you better have learned your lessons.
Yeah. I think
Ugh.
it's unfortunate. It seems like there's no way to escape how the planet has an effect on you. Like, it's going to make its effect either way. So there's no escape to it, but
So
it's
because we're
so
in the
unfortunate.
system, we have to deal with it because we're in it. We can't break it.
Yeah, yeah. Just like how our birth chart, it shows us our strengths and our weaknesses. They're just things that we can't escape, but we can use it to better help us navigate through everything. We can keep in mind, okay, I'm gonna check to see where my Saturn return is in my chart, and let's see, okay, what's appearing in my life right now that I can that's gonna be, karmic. What can I work through? And I feel like it's not like it's such shit. I wish we didn't have to deal with it. But while I'm here, personally speaking, I want to continue to better myself, to continue to heal my traumas so I can like get out of here. So I'm going to use the Saturn return to my advantage, you know, and
Okay.
learn, do what I need to do to learn and get out of here. Does that make sense?
So basically, like turning the tables on it in that way.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Do
yeah.
you think, because everybody talks like I've heard Tony mention this, I've heard some other people mention it too, but so like, if you don't go into the light tunnel, but you still get approached or since we don't know how this is going to work and they're starting to try to do your life review or you're trying to get out through so on that, like how people talk about, hey, I'm going to tear a hole through the fence, or Tony's mentioned that. I mean, do you think it's possible? Like I've seen pictures of when there's like the supposed glitch in the Matrix where there's like a grid in the sky that you can see that people have pictures of or film of actually. Do you think we can actually start? Why wait? Couldn't we all, those of us in this community, start sending energetic attacks now? Like to Saturn, to the moon. I've been doing that. Now it might be to my detriment because my symptoms have gotten worse this past week. So I don't know if it's retaliating back. But do you think we could affect it in that regard? Or do you think it's not enough? There's not enough of us to do it.
I'm unsure how to answer that. I feel it would take I don't know because I don't know too much about the technology, and I feel like they're operating in such higher dimensions that it would be something really, really difficult. And as far as the holes in the frequency fence, I think that when there's a lady who does regression, and she regresses people to escape through frequency fence and help earthbound souls escape through the fences. But I think it's just a trick that's being played out in the astral, just like how in
Okay.
NDEs they can, but these are just my thoughts, but in NDEs, whatever you think, um, they use the Akashic records to get into your mind, get into your life, and see your thought patterns and your beliefs. And then whatever your beliefs are, your religious beliefs, if you believe in Jesus, you're going to see him, and maybe your most loved relative, they're waiting to help you cross over into the light. And, then you cross over into the light and Jesus goes, "Oh, I'm actually not real." And um, but here we got to talk about your soul contract and get you back in there to reincarnate. So I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like that's one of the many NDE stories, and I mean, they're just so vast and different. Um, I hope I didn't go off on a tangent there, but
No, because I no, it's still the same thing because I'm wondering if we're overcomplicating this
like,
in general. And when I like the more so I mean I've seen people talk about, this, and I get it, we're all trying to figure it out. This is no, I'm not begrudging anybody because that's if that's what each person's trying their own thing to try to figure this out. I get it. My thing is, okay, so let's just take this at face value. Everybody can agree that we're more powerful than they are, our spark. So if you sit there and say, well, I have to do this, this, and this, or they're going to read my thoughts, and how about just have the intention, just set the intention. I'm not reincarnating. I don't have any soul contracts. I don't, no gods, no masters. I have none of that. I'm out. I'm out of this. That should be enough. I mean, if we are as powerful as we say we are, and we set that intention, and we already know that this is all a sham, and that you're done with it. Like you've just made up your mind, you're done with it. I think that should be enough. And if you die and you see a tunnel of light and you see other beings, just don't talk to them. Just nothing. Like just keep that intention. I mean, what do you think about that?
yeah, I think,
Because if you overcomplicate it, or you say you got to do A, B, and C and D, how's that any different than a religion? And then they're going to read your thoughts and put you back into your own thing of your own making because you created a fucking set of circumstances to get yourself out,
yeah, yeah.
right? Does that make sense? Or am I off on out in outer
Oh,
space right
no.
now?
I agree. I agree. I think the simplicity, that should be all that we have to do. Just not consenting, not allowing these beings to sway us like, oh, because they look like this or they say these things, and just saying, I'm not going to return here. That should be enough. Yeah, but it's always good to have backup plans or
Oh, for sure. I mean, I even, I mean, I don't know if it works, but I even set the intention that they're not allowed access to my thoughts.
yeah, yeah.
I'm really, if you think about it, actually, I don't pay too much attention to that because they're the ones that could be implanting the thoughts anyway. So, if you look at it from that perspective, I'm very careful with that too, as far as like is, you know, I think the brain is the interface for them to have more control over us.
Hmm.
And so I try to come more from like, instead of from here and acting from here up, like from my heart center up to basically up to my head
Yeah.
versus the other way around.
Mm, yeah. I know in NDEs that I've read, sometimes they'll just communicate with you. They just communicate with you telepathically. And
Oh,
they'll,
I
oh,
had that.
did you? And you're,
Remember that meditation that I told you about after the
oh
mushroom?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And you think, oh, it's some great being. No, it's not.
Yeah. I've been there.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, uh I don't I know people have their own look. I was very passionate about plant medicine and I just don't think anybody should do it. I've done it. Um I've even done ketamine. I did ketamine before that in a controlled medical setting. Um I don't recommend it because there's stuff there, it actually derails you and deceives you. It's deception. It's another layer of deception.
Yeah. Oh,
And then you've opened your consciousness up and yourself up to have more entity attachment or what have you.
yeah.
And some of it, like with me, it tried to break, like mushrooms, the psilocybin, it almost broke my mind.
It tried to.
Yeah. I mean, it came very close for 24 hours. I had to keep, so yeah, but now that is a tangent. But I mean, you know, I think it's just a matter of keeping it simple as you can, learning all you can here, and then keeping it simple and not creating your own prison for which they can actually, or your own circumstances that will lead you back into their prison, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I've heard people say things like you have to go find your Atman and the astral. Nope, I'm not doing that. It can stay there.
Hmm.
It can stay there. I don't need that. Or it'll come join me if it's meant to, whatever. I'm not going to go do that. I don't even want to go to the astral. I don't think again, everybody has their own thing, but I think traveling, like people who astral project, I think that's a mistake. That's like, playground. It's not our playground, it's their playground.
Yeah.
And I think you're just asking for trouble. Um, so I don't want to go there. I don't intend to go there. I mean, Tony interviewed a woman, and it's kind of off topic, but not really because she's actually an astrologer and she uses Vedic. I don't necessarily know if it's sidereal, but it's like Vedic and the old, I think, Babylonian astrology, which uses where the planets actually are. And she was on a different, not Tony's episode, but on another interview that she had. She's an engineer previous to getting into astrology. And her thing is, she goes, if you look at all of the older civilizations, and again, this could be the fact that they all had the same tree of life. Uh, Mythology could be part of the system, grant you. But so you have the tree, you have the trunk, but they all depict this picture of flat Earth over the top of the tree. It's a flat Earth with a dome over it. And she's thinking that everybody talks about ascending, right? Whenever we talk, and even them, even all the religions, all of the new age, everybody talks about going up and ascending.
Yeah.
And she's like, the way out is the bottom of the tree. It's going down. And
Mm.
just, and if you think about it, everybody tells you, oh, don't go to the underworld, or that's hell. Or it's, so she's saying do the opposite of what they tell you
That's
and
interesting.
what the norm is. And I was like, that is very interesting. And I've not heard anybody talk about that.
So I've never even thought about that. We, it's always talk of going up, ascending up.
Nobody ever talks about, because down, and think about it, down is the thing that everybody tells you not to do. Even the new age, it's always about higher ascension, ascending up. But everything associated with down is viewed, oh, that's the underworld, or that's hell, or it's the thing that the majority tell you to avoid, and everything tells you to ascend. And maybe that's where the trap is. I don't know. And I don't even know if any of this matters. Is there really an up or down? And the sense that we understand that, but that was an interesting concept. I thought that's something I've never heard before.
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't heard that either.
So, but now I guess we could get back to the Saturn Moon
Oh,
Matrix.
yeah, sure, sure. All right. So, do you want me to do this part?
Yes, I like anything that like this. Max Spears, I'm not as familiar with that, so I feel you'd be better to,
Okay.
because
Okay.
I did more of the holiday, and the um a little bit about Yalda Bayos, which we'll cover, and the holiday tradition of Saturnus and where we are today and the
Okay.
history of that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. There's a huge storm going on outside. Do you have a storm? Is it raining over?
Not yet. Not yet, but it looks like it wants to
Okay.
here.
Okay. If I lose power, it sounds like it's going to be, I don't know, sounds very windy outside, but All right.
Because we're doing this subject, right? Like that's fitting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the Saturn Moon Matrix. So Max Spears, he was a man that came out and spoke a lot of woke things, and he had a lot of really good insight. And he, after he did this one convention, or he was speaking at it, he did you hear about him at all? Do you know about him?
No.
Okay. He ended up dying in his hotel from a really mysterious death, and he had black goo coming out of him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, yeah. And they could never figure out what the black goo was. Um, but
Mm,
yeah, what he said,
that's crazy.
isn't it? Yeah. So Max Sphere said that Saturn can have the highest frequency of energy and also the densest or lowest frequency. And so what he said is the archons, they put rings around it to hold it in a low frequency and then push that through the amplification system to the moon.
Oh, okay.
So that's one theory about um, low frequency being projected onto Earth. And Saturn's rings work as dishes to the satellite. And so what it does is it projects frequencies out onto the moon, and it projects those frequencies onto the Earth that create a false reality, false manipulated matrix with an overlay to keep human consciousness trapped in that cycle of fear, limitation, reincarnation. And then it strengthens this frequency field that's around Earth. That may be the frequency field that keeps us, trapped.
Got to. Okay.
Yeah. Um, and NASA, something interesting, NASA says that when the they when the moon is struck, it makes this like really hollow sound. So NASA kind of led us on to believe through that statement that the moon could be hollow. I don't know. Um,
Some
and
of the astronauts have said that too.
yeah, yeah.
If we even went, I don't know, but that's what they've said. So,
Those have you gone back and viewed the uh videos of the moon landings?
well, a lot of people say Stanley Kubrick
Yeah.
filmed those. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, look, I don't know one way or there's so much, there's so many things that they've lied about. It's hard to tell whether they're, but I do think that the actual video that we have, whether they went to the moon or not, was not them filming on the moon. It just was somebody that made it that they wanted to put propaganda out there, so they made the film,
Yeah.
whether we went or not. And I do think Kubrick did it. I mean, he's also the guys that did Eyes Wide Shut and The Shining and other interesting things that you know,
Yeah.
which I hope we don't uh ever do a Kubrick thing because I used to really be into his movies, and I've watched all of them, but I really don't want to watch A Clockwork Orange again, and I don't really want to watch Eyes Wide Shut again. Eyes Wide Shut's really dark, and I think it highlights what's going on.
Oh, okay. I still need to see that one.
I mean, you know, you can do what you like, but when you watch it, you're gonna be it's all sex. It's all sex and
Mm.
I mean, not the whole thing, but it's all about that. And the ritualistic aspect of it that the elites are involved in and wearing masks and all this weird stuff. And Tom Cruise is looking for it through the whole movie. And then the end is, to me, I interpret it as that they are going to initiate their daughter into all this weird shit. And that's why I don't ever want to see it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does. I saw it years. I mean, it was a long time ago after it came out when I watched it, and I was like, wow, wish I hadn't seen this.
Yeah. Oof. Okay. So should I not watch it then?
I mean, you can if you, I would just protect yourself. I don't know what. like what while viewing it, and just keep yourself aware. Um, because I mean, it's not dark and like it's not scary or anything like that. But I mean, there's even a scene where Nicole Kidman is walking with this guy, and he's very much kind of giving off Jeffrey. When you if you see the footage now, it's very much Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
You know, yeah, the whole thing is just creepy, and it's all about the elites, and the secret society crap. Um, and so, um, it's just twisted. And the other thing too is there's a piece in there. Remember how we covered how Crawley did things in reverse? One of the songs during the ritual that's going on in it is, it was forward. It's a, um, Romanian, one of their churches like hymns forward. But the composer of this piece took all of it and put it backwards. So she reversed a Romanian like hymn backwards and then put music to it.
Mm,
And that's creepy. I actually liked, I mean, I was all into goth music and I would listen to it all the time. And so that piece appealed to me based upon my interest in music. And I literally, as a truck driver, when I'm driving, I had this song playing in the truck, and I pulled up to a shipper, and the security guard came up to the truck and then looked up at me, and he was like, he was acting weird, and he was like, "Is that satanic music?" It's because it sounds dark. And this guy, for the remainder of the time that I was on the property, was creeped out by me by virtue of what I had playing on the radio, which
yeah.
was this piece from the movie. So it kind of goes back to our last episode where be careful, just be careful. I would say that what you expose yourself to. And
Yeah.
if you watch it, just, make sure that you're aware of what might be dumping into your subconscious.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Hey, Jeffrey Epstein on his island, that building looks just like a black,
Yep.
or not, it's not black, but it's a
But it's a cube.
little cube.
And
Yeah.
there's all kinds of Egyptian symbolism on it as well.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And
And the
and
color of
nobody
it.
nobody pays attention to the fact that it's blue and white.
Yeah.
And there were several rooms in his house that are blue and white, the same colors that are on the, I'm just saying, the Israeli flag. Just saying.
Mm,
And I mean, it's a known fact that Ghislaine Maxwell's father was Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell worked for Mossad. We know that. We know Robert Maxwell for sure. That's a known fact that he was an agent for Mossad.
yeah.
And Jeffrey Epstein, Maxwell was his mentor. I would say handler, more like. Uh, and then you got Ghislaine, his daughter. It was with him for years. And it just so happens he's got a bunch of blue and white shit everywhere on it. Like you said, that cube is blue and white. And we're going to be going back to Israel here in a minute with this episode in Saturn. He had rooms in every house he lived in, one of the rooms was done in blue and white.
Okay.
So, and no, for the record, I'm not anti-Semitic. I think Jewish people are great. But if you're somebody who's into this elite black cube Saturn stuff, then no, I don't think you're great. And I'm not going to make apologies for that. I'm saying that right now. But for the record, in general, no, I'm not. We probably should just be clear about that. We're not anti-Semitic. We don't have anything against any specific race of people based on who they're born to. It's what you're doing with your life that can be problematic. And I think that's where, not I think, but I know that's where our issue lies. That's what you're doing with your life.
Yeah. All right.
So,
Jump back into the moon matrix.
yes,
All right. So another thing to think about is when the moon gets full and it gets big and bright, what happens around full moons?
every, well, lunar. I
Exactly.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. The hospitals, that is their busiest time. There are so many more accidents. Everyone's always moody and cranky, and there's just chaos going on. Whenever it's a full moon, I just stay home. Like I don't want to go out. I don't want to. do anything. I just don't want to be part of those earthly dramas on full moons.
I
But
should start paying attention as a woman. Does it affect, I mean, because it does affect water
yeah,
and the tide pool and all of that. I wonder if it does affect us more so as women.
yeah, it does. Yeah, because women, we're very uh emotional, and it's just emotions, water. The moon, and it has that effect on women. And it can also affect our cycles. It can affect women are on for the most part, 28-day cycle, and there are 28 days to the moon cycle.
What if this little pissant god, demiurge, whatever,
Yeah.
is jealous of women because it can't create and we can't? And if you look at, and the misogyny's been prevalent, was prevalent with us for how long?
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Yeah.
why it exists at all.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily something we invented. It's inherent in the system.
Yeah. And we literally bring the spiritual into the physical. Like we bring the soul down and
Exactly.
us, and we create it. I love childbirth. But yeah, maybe it could be a thing.
I
Darn.
mean, because it can't create.
Yeah.
And and this is a God that if you look at most scriptures, especially whether it's Allah or Yahweh or Yahweh, same God right there. If you think about it, how many times does that pathetic being have to go, I am the only God.
Yeah.
I am the only God. Like just repeatedly on repeat. Like it's kind of like, dude, really? Or what if I mean thou protest too much? I mean, just keep saying it over and over again. Like it sound and even I think there's even points in scripture where he says, I am a jealous God. He pointedly says that. So maybe there's something to that, him being jealous, and that's why we've got misogyny in the world,
Yeah.
possibly.
Possibly. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of the frequency of the rings and the moon's role in this, I'm curious too. Could you mention to everybody, because I thought this was profound.
Mhm.
So you said that you'd heard like when we die, the soul goes to the moon and then it goes
Yeah, that's a
to
theory.
Saturn from there and then to the sun. And then for reincarnation, we go through the sun to Earth or soul. Is that
Yeah. Yeah. We exit through the moon. And then I haven't heard that we go to Saturn, but that might make sense because I've heard separately that we can also go through Saturn, but we go through the moon to Saturn to the sun, get projected back out. Maybe, maybe. Or it could just all be technology and light tunnels that, alien races are using, or um, AI technology that it's some sort of technology.
you
Um,
think that this God, this Saturn God, do you think that that's responsible for creating the other alien races? Or do you think the alien races are something else that are just coming here and in league with this existing system and benefiting from what already existed?
hmm, I don't know.
I've wondered about this. Like, is it all this because, Tony was saying, and other people, there's thousands of, I mean, you have gods, right? You have the gods, you've got different parasitic entity of like as far as the entities go, you have gods, you have the the spider things, you've got all these different entities. Is it are those separate things that were outside of here that just come here and benefit, or they were they created from this? I mean, I think it's all part of the creation of the sick creator. But wait, it can't create though. Huh. It's not capable of creating anything.
It can copy. It can copy.
Oh,
It can copy
yeah.
things from other places.
So
Uh,
what do you think? Do you
but it
think
could
this is
also
all
be,
his stuff that he copied?
I think it could be a lot of like copies. I think that it can be, some of it can be just manifested through thought. Um,
Our thoughts?
maybe. I think, yeah, I think there's some influence as well through like ETs. And I forgot that I had read somewhere that the Anunnaki, their planet, their home planet is Nibiru, and they used to live on, or they used to be connected to Saturn in some way. And they got really offended when it was, I'm remembering it right now. I'm trying to remember the bits and pieces. But they got really offended when it moved, and wasn't the sun
Oh,
anymore. Um, so I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
it's just, yeah, I don't have answers to these questions either. It's just things I ask myself
Yeah.
or that come up because especially since, I mean, I've even before I got into learning about Prison Planet, I often thought that a lot of like demons, I didn't really believe per se in their existence. I kind of started thinking that when we create something, even a thought form, that we were haunting ourselves, that we were creating things that haunted us, that we were creating things that persecuted, but because we were doing it unknowingly. So if you have a nightmare, then you've just created something. If you have, if you're writing a book about um a haunting someplace and the ghost never existed before, well, guess what? Your thought form creates the thing. And so I was kind of thinking in those terms. And I think that might play a role in some things here. But as far as like all of this other stuff, I didn't know if the actual like the grays, if that's a creation of this place, like from copied, or if they actually came here and all these things. Like I'm trying to figure out like, are these things working in league together, or are they just benefiting from how it exists and doing their own thing? And maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know, but I just wondered like you've got demons, you've got aliens, you know, um,
AI.
and oh, AI. See, that's another thing. Although I do think the AI could be, you could argue that AI, artificial intelligence, is the intelligence behind the fake God, the false God. That's what a false God is. It's artificial.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I always see, to me, Demiurge, Saturn, the deity of Saturn, and AI. They're to me, they're all there's your Trinity, your unholy Trinity right there. They're all the same thing,
Yeah.
in my view.
So getting back to the moon matrix, then we'll wrap up this little part. If this is true, that when the moon gets full, it projects time, stress, and deadlines onto us from Saturn. And this projection from the moon from Saturn might make us worship and place value on external things. Um, Things outside of ourselves, always looking outside of ourselves, out and above. And then the souls are tricked at death to continue reincarnating. So that's what the moon matrix is about. Yeah.
It sounds not. It's not a party.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So next you want to go into the holidays, or was there something you wanted to do before?
Well, I thought we could talk, like, since we're already kind of talking about, um, since we've covered, we could just mention because I don't think we have time to do a deep dive on this episode. But
Yeah.
basically, if you go all the way back to Mecca, and Saturn worship was a part of, whether everybody had their own little individual gods, it was very polytheistic among the people back then, but they all in some way, shape, or form were paying homage to Saturn. rather knowingly, just like we do today, which we'll get into how we're doing it today without knowing. But it's important to note here, and again, the fact that I have to say this over and over again because of how our society operates, this isn't saying that people, whether you're Arab or Jewish, that there's anything wrong with you as people. That's not what this is about. What this is about is the worship of what was once the Canaanites. Out of Mesopotamia, you get the Canaanites and you get the Arab peoples, and then you get Isaac and Ishmael from the Jewish line, or Abraham and Ishmael if you're Arabic. And these two individuals kind of start what we know as today. The Muslim religion, Muslim faith comes out of that line of the Abraham, Ishmael, and the Jewish faith comes out of the Isaac and Abraham. Because supposedly Isaac and Abraham, or I'm sorry, Isaac and Ishmael were brothers, and they start their own lines. So when you look at the Canaanites, and I'm sorry, this is just a historical fact, anybody can look it up. The Canaanites worshipped the same god that the people in Bohemian Grove worship, called Moloch, also known as the child eater, which shouldn't come as a surprise if we look at what these people are accused or allegedly involved in, as it appears with the Epstein stuff and all of that. So if you keep following this trend down with these religions, these two religions, most of our modern day religions come out of these two. Because Christianity comes out of this, and look at all of the branches you have of Christianity. Most cults are branches off of main religions. If you look at Twin Flames Universe or any of even the modern cults of today, they're branches of something either from dark, which dark stuff you can still argue is a branch of these religions because it's just the opposite of, right? It's in confrontation to. And I would argue whether you're of the dark stuff that's involved in blood sacrifice and the dark stuff, or going to church and drinking the blood and eating the body of of somebody who did a blood sacrifice for your sin. There's no difference between the two things other than saying one is of light and one is of dark, but the actual involvement of the activity is still the same. We're still talking blood sacrifice and death here. So when you follow these down out of Judaism, you get Christianity. Christianity, you get the Knights Templar. And then what do we have? The Knights Templar, you get Saint Nick, which is what we have as our modern day Santa. But when you actually start looking at Saint Nick and his background, and the influence of the Knights Templar in terms of when Rome starts coming into power, Rome very much pays homage to Saturn with this celebration every year, which is what forms our modern day the time of the year, which is Christmas, which is when we celebrate Christmas, to pay not only homage to Saint Nick, but it also is the harvest, paying homage to the harvest god Saturn, the sowing god Saturn, the child eater Saturn, and the celebration called Saturnalia. Out of this holiday is when you start getting the interesting enough, the first Santa wasn't called Santa. It was an Italian term, and she was female. It was a female witch. And to this day, it's still a female witch. But the whole presence of giving gifts and receiving gifts was paying homage to Saturn's gift of giving us life initially. All the rules go out the window during Saturnalia. So basically slaves are actually, it's weird. They invert everything. So slaves are now the higher up, and everybody that was over the slaves is now servants to the slaves during these days. There was not initially human sacrifice. That comes a little bit later on as the celebrations progress, but they start the holiday feast that they had, the Saturnalia feast, is what we now do at Christmas time. It's derived from that, the big family get dinner that you have. You're paying homage to Saturn and giving energy to that, because the whole start of this whole thing was always an observance. It wasn't an observance of Christ or Christ's birth. It never was. All of this grew from Saturnalia. So the whole Christmas tree, the holly, what is holly? And I can't believe nobody knows this, but holly was actually used in witchcraft. One of its main goals was to actually use the holly branch in terms of performing glamours. And hence you have Hollywood, glamour, you have glamorous movie stars, glam. So the holly of the that you see at Christmas time was all part of this uh derivation out of witchcraft, paying homage again to Saturn. They would put greenery around their house, they put trees in their homes. Basically every modern aspect of Christmas, from the lights to the feasting to the goodwill, was paying homage to Saturn and the Saturnalia tradition. It all grew out of that. And so since that's the initials, I suppose people could put their own if they wanted to celebrate it. For me personally, like, I'm not celebrating the holiday.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at there are really depictions in other cultures of, like, the German culture of Santa and Krampus. At one time they were one and the same. So that whole, if you were a good kid or a bad kid, which again comes out of Saturnalia, but as it moves through the centuries, it gets darker. And if you were a bad kid, Santa actually took you from your parents, child abduction.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of negative, the intonation of Christmas too, even in back during the Roman times. Children are not, children are disposable, and they're not well liked in these traditions. It wasn't a holiday for children. And so it's interesting how these activities um, are told nowadays. Hey, this is for the kids. It's really not.
Yeah. Yeah. So another
And
thing, oh,
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
Another thing about Saturnalia is it's, the winter festival. And so it involves themes of harvest and feasting.
Yep,
And to me, like, even though they meant, in agricultural cycles and celebrations, to me it also could symbolize um like harvesting our energy and
exactly.
harvesting like our souls
Hmm.
possibly and our pain. Um, so I thought that was, pretty significant as well.
No, I always think that word's always interesting, and just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, we always tend to think of it as in terms of like farming or
Mhm.
agriculture, but in terms of these festivals, for
Yeah.
sure, like, or these celebrations or whatever, for sure. And I forgot to mention too, in terms of the relationship between Saint Nick,
Mm.
the Knight Templar. There's this view of, like, the Knight Templars were part of. You get Freemasonry out of that, which is very dark.
Mm.
But so you get this whole idea of, um, like, I saw, there's some evidence, not necessarily evidence, but rumors, I guess, of the Knights, which we should do an episode on the Ninth Circle,
Yeah.
because in doing research for Saturnalia, that came up. So Saint Nick and Freemasons and supposedly archbishops of the Catholic Church and Nicole Kidman's father, allegedly, are part of a cult called the Ninth Circle. And it's gross. They basically hunt kids. And then when they catch them, they release them on purpose so that they can hunt them. And then they do really bad stuff to them sexually later. It's really gross. But Saint Nick
Animal
and the
hunts?
Knights, what's that?
Like animal hunts, like they would do with foxes. They would send them
Mhm.
running and okay.
Yeah, it's gross. Yeah, it's really disgusting. And the account of the woman who actually brought charges up against, or and she was slated to testify um, against Nicole Kidman's father, and then he died. They always do. They always do right before they're supposed to go to trial, or there's, you know what I mean, or they're supposed to be arrested, or there's or an investigation. Oops, they died. Nothing to see here, people. But yeah, that's what. Um, and it's hard to find stuff on it because again, if you look it up on the internet, it will say that the ninth circle is a conspiracy theory. Uh, but there's plenty of evidence from what people who have been hurt uh, or were in it, whether they're from Masons or like in this case, um, Nicole Kidman's father. And again, this is I say alleged because he never was ever could be brought to trial because he died. But I thought with Saint Nick, um, it's it appears that just much like the archbishops of the Catholic Church, who may have to go through this before they're actually become an archbishop, it looks like Saint Nick was involved in that. And when you look at Saint Nick, Santa Claus, Satan, Saturn, Saturnalia, it's all the same stuff. So when you're putting your kid on Santa Claus's lap to take a picture with them, that's not what you think it is.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like from the people that videos I've watched, and the things I've read, it's not that it doesn't matter whether you're ignorant of it or not. You're still giving energy to this being or this planet or whatever it is, but you're still sending energy by virtue of even in your ignorance. But I thought this was interesting. Like, so you have Saturn worship, it's enfolded in Christianity, right? Black robes with the Catholic Church. You have obsession with guilt, sin, penance. The architecture of cathedrals, which mirrors, like basically are a mirror of Saturn. They're or and the geometry, right? So Saturn is about precision, and that's why the Masons worship Saturn, that precision of the black cube, right? All of its angles are correct. All of that kind of stuff comes out of that. Um, the black cube, the dome of of the cathedrals, the ring, which we're going to mention about the ring. You had focused on that. Um, it's an imitation of quote their version of heaven, locked in stone. And when I say heaven, I mean all the stuff that's up there, as above, so below, locked in stone, right there for you to see and become aware of, so that you're not giving homage to these things. But the thing is, the sad part is that's why I think they like us in ignorance, because this stuff it's in plain sight. Chaos is ritualized, it's contained, inverted. Even rebellion becomes a costume. Um, right? Revolutions are scheduled, awakenings are it's marketed and inverted in the new age. So when you awaken, they even taken that and they'll twist it. As soon as you wake up, most of us, I went through it. I think you went through it. Jackie, one of our listeners, had mentioned she went through it. We all go through the new age,
Yeah.
right? So it markets and inverts our own awakening. Because here's the thing, I like this. Chaos is an affront to Saturn because nothing is more dangerous to Saturn than unstructured consciousness. Meaning, if you break out of where it wants you, it doesn't like that. And so it will find other ways, whether, like I said, if you wake up from religion and all the other stuff, oh, well, we have new age here for you. You can come over here. And if that doesn't work, um, and it tried to suck me back into Christianity. I think that's why I had a bunch of Christians coming around me
Yeah.
over at Sundance, right? Like, hey, come back home. So just be mindful of with the holidays. It's not what you think it is.
Yeah. New Age. I woke up to New Age being false. And then I fell into the freedom teachings. I kind of talked about it in our earlier episodes, but the freedom teachings is such a um, analytical, deep, um, very brainy form of new age crap. But it was like I finally got out of the new age and it was like, oh, don't trust archangels. No, don't trust aliens. Like, no, but trust us. We have this information. Trust us for these downloads, and we're giving you all this information. We're good guys. We're the good aliens. And I took it. I was like, cool, yeah. But sorry, I kind of went off there, but
No, I mean, I think I
there's
don't think you did. I think it plays right into what we're saying. It's like
so many
it
tricks.
it will subvert, invert, and I mean, and market. If you're not in line and you're outside of what it wants you, where you're not trapped,
Yeah.
where it can't get, because again, if you're unawakened in life, when you die, you're just going to go right to whatever. Like you said, if it's you see the tunnel of light and you're love bombed, you're going to go. Especially think about that. Like most people, life is hard here. You die and you got this tunnel of, and this is all love and acceptance. Yeah, probably anybody who's unawakened is going to go for that. And
Yeah.
if you're not religious, that's going to be appealing to you,
Yeah.
or if you are religious, I don't know whether you're Hindu, one of your Hindu gods is going to appear, or Jesus if you're Christian, or Muhammad, or I don't know. Do the suicide bombers initially see the 1,000 versions initially when they pass? Probably, until they get through that tunnel or they get where they're supposed to be, and then you know, and then you're back into the. I mean, I don't know. I think maybe non-religious people go to the processing center maybe right away. I don't know.
There's so many different things they can do to you to trick you back in here. Yeah.
But I mean, I was just really, I loved the Christmas holiday. I was kind of thought,
Me too.
not by and large, but I kind of thought people, acted sometimes a little bit better. Although it's gotten more commercialized in recent years, but it was just kind of a nice time of year. Temp cooler temperatures, getting together with family and friends, the whole thing. And this really ruined it for me because when you start realizing like it doesn't matter whether your intention, like you're ignorant, the whole holiday was created. It exists because of that. It doesn't exist outside, like the Christmas holiday tradition doesn't exist outside of Saturn. It was created to honor Saturn.
Yeah.
And we're talking centuries year old. This is old Roman, like this is thousands year old tradition.
Yeah.
So the idea that I mean, that's why I'm careful with it, where I'm like, yeah, I don't want to celebrate it at all or acknowledge it at all, because if you think about like it's embedded in the part of the uh if you put a Christmas tree up in your house and you're putting lights up, that's something that's been done for thousands of years.
Yeah. And then they go and they place it on very special days, the
Yeah.
very special portals or Halloween, Hallows Eve's on the day where the veil is the thinnest, where they can really just harvest energy. Whether it's good energy or bad energy, they can still like feast off of it.
Well,
So
and we'll probably should do a Halloween episode when it gets closer, since it'll be coming up soon. But that was my Michelle, my girlfriend, and I, our favorite holiday,
yeah.
and
Christmas.
it's not mine anymore because in the next one of the videos that of one on one of the channels I watched about Saturnalia, they covered Halloween. It was just 30 minutes long, so I watched it and I was like, oh man, like every aspect, the whole bobbing for apples thing.
Yeah.
Do you know initially what that was? I didn't, and it's really, really disgusting.
No, I think I read about it. I forgot though. Can we say it on
So
here? Is it?
yeah, and wait, we won't get a strike for it, but essentially, so if you were like a slave
Yeah.
and you wanted your freedom, they would let you, like it wasn't, they didn't force you. They would say like, well, if you want to try to have your freedom, but it was boiling water with the apples
Oh,
in it, and you had to use
no.
yes.
No.
and if you could go for the apple. That's what that comes from. See, do you see what I'm saying? Like there's a lot of stuff we engage in that we have no idea
Mhm.
what we're given our, and it's the same thing with the music. Like you have no idea what you're putting in your subconscious or
The frequency it comes. Yeah, it's just,
exactly, or what energy, what entities might be. See, that's my thing too, is just because you can set an intention for the holiday and celebrate it. I don't know, because you're celebrating it anyway, are there entities attaching to you? Or is stuff feeding off of you because you're giving it attention? I don't see, I just rather not. But there's even worse stuff, like the whole mask, the story behind the mask. I'm like,
mask.
wow.
You saying?
Yeah, the wearing of mask at Halloween, like all of that. We'll have to do an episode on it, but
Yeah, we're coming.
the,
We can do it for in October.
yeah, but I mean, it's so like the more and more that we keep deep diving on these subjects, the more and more I'm like, I just keep thinking of be in the world, not of the world.
Yeah.
Like I'm here in it, but I don't have to participate in everything because technically the fact that I'm talking to you on my lap, like the Zoom is on my laptop, my phone is here because I'm mirroring my notes on my phone to my TV. Guess what? Black cube, black cube, black cube.
Yeah. And then
It's
we're
already bad
living in a cube
enough.
as well.
Yeah, which is by design. It'd be better if we lived in like rounded structures versus, but that's by design.
Yeah.
Feng Shui talks about that, like, the right corners and right edges and stuff like that. That's not what we're designed to. Um, so it's bad enough, like some things, because my girlfriend pointed that out to me. She's like, well, you can't get away from everything. You're still using it. I go, right, but I can set the intention that I'm using it. It's not using me. And I still be maybe giving some leeway somewhere, but I don't have to give it any more than what I actually need to do to actually live within the world.
Yeah.
Again, I could be in the world and use certain things, but not just, where I'm just so unaware that I'm giving a lot of energy to something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I just, yeah, the Christmas thing really, I mean, even Santa as a kid, like I really thought that idea was cool, and it's not what you think it is.
Yeah.
Like him giving presents. It wasn't initially he wasn't leaving presents, he was taking kids.
Yeah. And then the coal, what was the coal thing? Um,
That was uh yeah.
it wasn't
Initially,
coming down the fireplace. It was something else.
well, from Saturnalia, that had more to do with keeping the lights that we talked, because they, um supposedly they didn't, who knows? Because if you believe in Tartaria, apparently they may have had electricity back then, right?
Mhm.
But as far as I know, the Romans didn't have electricity, so it was the idea of the fire burning, which was the lights, which was paying homage. And then they to keep the light burning to give honor to Saturn. And part of like the candles, to keep your candles lit and all of that, but also it did start becoming the witch would leave coal in place for bad children. Like she would leave the coal in place of the bad child she took.
Mm, scary.
And now, again, when we're talking worldwide, this it gets darker as far as I mean, sometimes the coal was actually lit and used to burn children. It's awful. I'm telling you, it's awful.
Yeah.
Uh, in terms of some parts of the world. But the interesting thing is too, do you know that Santa is in every culture except for one?
What's the one?
Let's see if you can guess. It's the one we've talked about. It's in the news a lot lately.
Oh. Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean,
Santa?
and there's African Santas, there's
Yeah.
Cuban Santas, there's
They're
Italian Santas, no Jewish Santa.
no Jewish Santa.
Even Muslims have a Santa,
Huh. Okay.
but no Jewish Santa. And I would like to point out, as I mentioned earlier, that I think it's interesting too that why have the Jews, you look at the Jewish culture grows out of the Canaanites. Why would you pick? Saturn Day or Saturday. I'm just going to call it Saturn Day though from now on because that's what it really is. Why
Yeah.
would you pick that for your Sabbath?
Mhm.
There's a reason. You can't tell me there isn't. Why they picked that way back when. Oh, we're going to pick this day to honor. What are you honoring? Oh, Yahweh, which is Yaldabaoth, if you trace it back to the Gnostics, um, which is El, if you go all the way back to when Jew, there's reference in the Old Testament to El before they started calling him Yahweh, and El is Saturn, is known as Saturn,
Yeah.
the Saturn god. That's who they worship. Most Jewish people, that's why I'm saying this is not an affront to Jewish people in general. Most Jewish people, just like most Christian people, don't know where their stuff is coming from either. It's ignorance. But there are people um, in elite circles who definitely do know to this day that what's going on. So I think that stuff gets passed down. So like your monarchies, your world leaders, your bankers, and the family, and then these families. That's why you have bloodlines. I think they know all this stuff already.
Yeah.
So I found the whole Saturn subject deeply depressing. Like 48 hours, I was just like, wow, what a shithole we live in
Yeah.
under this thing.
Yeah.
And you took notes on Yada, right?
I sure did. Yeah. And we're going to save the Gnostic text and all of this for a later episode. But just to kind of give everyone a better idea, Yaldabaoth is a Gnostic demiurge, and he's this really nasty creature who's blind and arrogant and lustful and is always engaging in sexual activities. And so the Gnostic text teaches us that we were not created by a loving God, but by an imperfect, arrogant entity who was born as a cosmic mistake from Sophia without the consent of the Pleroma. But we'll get into that later. But with Yaldabaoth's imperfect and arrogant mind, he created this universe with his limited knowledge, resulting in suffering. And so he traps divine essences, souls here, keeping them stuck and away from their full potential in their divine nature.
That
Uh,
about sums him up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then I know we talked a little bit about Kronos, but to expand a little bit more on Kronos, uh, Kronos gave us the Father Time, the God of Time, and the Grim Reaper. And so in the mythology, Kronos was told a prophecy that his son would later surpass him. And so you mentioned it earlier, but then he went and he devoured not only that son, but all of his children, symbolizing time consumes everything it creates, and death and uh, all those good things. So.
Such a loving God, isn't
Such a
he?
loving God, yeah. Such a loving fatherly thing to do. Just consume. And then I think it's interesting because, later we see in a lot of scary cults and elite groups, we see that same type of abuse and rituals being,
Yes.
with that. I don't want to say it, but yeah.
Right. Well, or the whole hello, just eating children
Yeah.
that comes up. I mean, we have groups of people that we pay taxes to. Oh, it just it's so galling. Like we're giving money to these people who we know for a fact it's not the conspiracy. They go out in the woods and Bohemian Grove and worship Moloch, the child eater. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So that's why the name, the names to me, I don't even like using them because I feel like that gives them power. But
Yeah.
it's the same thing. It's Saturn, Yadabeo, Moloch, Yahweh, El, same shitty being. AI. I think that AI is the same. one of this. I mean, artificial intelligence, fake God. Uh, to me, those are two things that uh seem like they're one and the same,
Yeah.
not separate,
Yeah.
but all part of this same deity. So, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
and then we have to go to Mecca too, because there's some stuff that comes out of Mecca from all this
Yeah. Yeah.
related to it.
Do you want me to read my notes on Mecca?
Sure.
Okay. So Mecca is a Muslim city in Saudi Arabia, and it has this mysterious, or not so mysterious, but the Kaaba in it, which is a Muslim sanctuary. And the sanctuary, they believe it was built by Adam and his son, the first humans on Earth, and this was the first house of worship built for God. And so they built this little square building, and they needed one last piece to finish. Oh wait, I'm kind of getting into the Kaaba already.
That's
Um,
okay.
okay, but they needed one last piece to finish it, and God said that it would not be a material from this earth, but from outside of it, from a paradise. So I think it was Archangel Gabriel. He brought down this white stone. And apparently the stone was white, but then it turned black from all the sin on Earth. And the stone, it may be a meteorite. And they placed it there in that one spot, but no one's allowed to inspect or analyze it. So no one really knows whether it's from Earth or not Earth, whether that part was true. Um, yeah. I thought it was interesting though because they had built the Kaaba and it was this place. At first, it was monotheism, right? But then the story goes that there was a merchant who traveled to go get like he went to more advanced cities, and these advanced cities they had like tons of pagan statues outside. And before he went back to Mecca, he asked if he could take one home. And they're like, sure, go ahead. Here's just take this pagan deity statue with you. And so this merchant, he went back and he placed it right by the Kaaba. And he told everyone, he said, this is who we're going to worship now. And for some reason, everyone was just like, sure, yeah, okay. There was hardly any, um, tension or anyone, they just all accepted it. So over time, more idols were built, and it's said that they had around 360 idols just
Yeah.
around the city. Yeah.
And
Um,
well, and interestingly though, actually early Mesopotamians were polytheistic, then they become monotheistic, then they right about this time they go poly again,
yeah.
and then Muhammad goes in and smashes the idols
Yeah.
and says, "Oh, which is no different than the merchant bringing an idol and say we're going to worship this." Muhammad says Allah is God, and we're going to
Yeah.
worship that, right? So, yeah,
Um, so yeah, they eventually just went back to Allah, one God. But as for the Kaaba, it's still there to this day, and the Muslims walk around it. It's if you're part of the Muslim culture, I believe that they want you to travel to Mecca at least once in your life to see the Kaaba. And if you look up videos of people in Mecca, you'll see there's this swarm always around the Kaaba circling it. And so the Muslims, they walk around it 7 times. And also Saturn has, 7 rings, and it's like,
exactly.
yeah, yeah. They walk around it in circles, which is also mimicking the central sun, right? Mimicking what's going on with that. Um,
Well, and there were 7 days in the creation story.
10 days, seven.
Seven.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, yeah.
And
So,
well, and apparently, like when it was initially built, it had two doors. You had to walk in the front way. There's
yeah,
a front entrance, and you'd exit at the second back door, and there was a window in it. The existing one now doesn't. It's just one way in, one way out, no windows. But now, like I guess everybody used to be able to enter.
and now,
Like everybody could go in, but now it's basically like dignitaries and elites, or what I like to call suited turds. That I mean, that's what. That's like, so now and they're very secretive about what's in there now. I don't know that they always were before. I couldn't find out what changed, like if it was secretive when everybody could go in there.
Mm.
But if nobody was saying that there was anything special um about it, but now it's very secretive, and I don't know why that would be. But it's a black cube. Definitely a black cube shape.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I don't know if you found, I couldn't find anything on specifics of what King Solomon's temple looked like, other than that it was a cube, 2 cubits, or 20 cubits. Was it 20 or two? Now I can't remember. It was 2 or 20 cubits it has to be 20,
Yeah.
or by 20 cubits. It was a
Oh
cube,
my. Yeah.
and that um it was made of stone and cedar back then, and with some gold adorations on it. But so I don't know about you. I didn't see anything where it said it was ever black, but it was still in the shape of a cube, which Jeffrey Epstein had a cube structure,
Yeah.
as you pointed out earlier, and or we talked about earlier in the episode. So it's everywhere. I mean, the stuff with Saturn is just everywhere. It's infiltrated everything. Well, because it's if that doesn't tell you that it's part of the design of this world, I don't know what is. It's in all religions in certain ways. It's um you've got black cube, you've got a black cube on top of Trump's tower. We've got black cubes in cities. You brought up the whole wearing of cap and gown. It's a black cube on your head. It's everywhere. But
Yeah.
that's not by accident. It's not by accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Another thing we haven't talked about yet are the large, huge abstract arts of the black cubes. And they're in Australia, Denmark, Manhattan, Santa Ana.
Yeah, that's
They're
right.
the huge, just black cubes of abstract art. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason. Well, I mean, that's not even interesting.
Yeah.
It's not even interesting as far as, oh, even the cities that they have black cubes sitting in. It, why? There's nothing remotely profoundly. It's a square.
Yeah.
Um, well, the reason it's not supposed to have any other meaning than the fact that it's paying homage to something in plain sight that everybody else that's not awake and not aware thinks is benign, when it's actually in fact completely more
Yeah.
more
A, Oh, it's a spiritual prison as well. And it's like the anti-sphere, anti-creation. It represents the rejection of creation, like itself. Mm, I don't know.
I mean, see what I mean? That's why it gets, when you start looking at, like, thinking about um I mean, I don't even know. I did question it as when I was younger as a Christian. I always thought it was gross, but I don't understand how people can be in a faith and not even look at it. I mean, I at least did that while I was in, but like the whole idea of on Sunday morning or during communion, and it doesn't matter that it was figurative, but the idea of you're going to eat the blood and flesh of something, and the Canaanites were cannibals. Christianity follows out of Judaism, so you start looking at Judaism goes back to the Canaanites, and you're like, okay,
Mm,
it's figurative. It's a symbolic thing going back to old stuff.
yeah,
Where it was really it was blatant back then. They told people back then, this is what we're gonna, you know, we're gonna human sacrifice this person, or we're gonna eat people. They told you back then. Now this stuff's just in plain sight and it's symbolic, but it's still supporting the energy of the same stuff, you know. But I always thought that was weird. It was like, okay, so if a Satanist sacrifices somebody, that's satanic. But I'm here at church with the crucifix in front of me with some guy nailed to it who blood sacrificed himself, and that's not satanic. Huh, okay. Why? Because he's on a figure? He's a statue and it's not really going on. I mean, it's still a blood sacrifice no matter how you get around it. It's to me, you're just saying, oh, well, this is light and this is, you know, this is a sacrifice that's for good and for God here, and this is for the devil. Well, it's like, but the acts are the same, so therefore wouldn't it make sense that it's for the same deity? Two sides of the same coin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, when you wake up to it all, then I kind of feel like I've been stupid my whole life. Stupid and ignorant my whole life,
Not
like
your
5 decades.
fault. Yeah, not your fault.
It's just sad. It really is. Welcome to, I mean, I don't know why they just don't call the planet Saturnalia and get it over with.
Yeah. Hey, blame it on Saturn. That, all those years of that stuff. Just blame Saturn.
It's just like Saturn.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I have a couple more things I want to add. And it's kind of talking about the Saturn shape and then other things that we can take from it. And then I had a couple, different, there were two TV shows that talked about like Saturn. Um, So if you take a 2D cube, and so if you take a 2D cube and you erase the lines inside, and this would totally be working better if I had pictures, but you have the hexagon, and inside the Star of David is the black cube. Also, Metatron's cube for the New Agers can also be seen as a black cube. And then we mentioned earlier the cross can also unfold into a cube. And then to look at a little bit of numerology or numbers. The Star of David, it has 6 points. And then on each of the points, they make six different little mini triangles. And then on the inside, it's a six-sided polygon. So there's 666 right there. And then to take it a step further, humans are made out of carbon, which is associated with the number 666, alluding to
mhm.
the entrapment within the material simulation. Yeah. Um, and then for the TV shows, so in the TV series, it's an Apple series and it's called Dark Matter. They travel through this man, the scientist, he creates this black cube, and they use the black cube to explore alternate realities. So I thought that was
I
interesting.
saw that episode. Yeah, it
Oh
was really
yeah,
good.
yeah,
It's really good.
yeah.
It's freaky, but it's really good.
It is, it is. It's really weird. And then there's a Black Mirror episode where I forgot the name of it, but it's one of their most famous ones where they're on the spaceship. Is it called SS Caliber? Is that what it's called?
Oh, I know which one you're talking about because I saw all of those Black Mirror episodes,
Yeah.
but I can't remember the name of the ship.
Yeah, it's got the man who traps all the other people like on the ship, and it's very like Star Trekky. And so the people, they're stuck there with no way out, and they have their consciousness uploaded there. So, there's no way they can escape or ever have that end. But then right before the episode ends, it shows that they're like traveling by Saturn, or like that it's because of like Saturn. So that, and then I think there's a reference to Saturn somewhere in the OA um,
Yeah,
show on Netflix.
yeah,
But
we watched it. We really liked that a lot, and I think you're right. I think there was a reference to it,
yeah.
but it's been almost a decade since I watched the series.
Yeah, I need to watch the OA. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
when you were mentioning the Star of David and the cube, do
mhm.
you know it wasn't until very recently that one of the New Age practitioners that I was seeing a while back, a couple of years back, had suggested that I construct a Merkaba. You know what a Merkaba looks like?
Yep.
Okay, it's a cube
Mhm.
within almost a Star of David kind of like looking structure and like encased in it. But basically to enshrine myself in a Merkaba, and so I did that. And so
Mhm.
it wasn't until after like the hypnotherapy sessions with you that I kind of started deconstructing that.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I basically imprisoned myself in another cube energetically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I better take that thing down. I better take that thing down.
Man. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. I used to spin, I think it was 33 times, 34 times, like one direction, and then like trying to build my Merkaba up. Um,
Yeah, and so think about what you're doing
yeah.
because the center of that is a cube. And I don't know why well, I do know why. They just don't know. But uh, they're being influenced to influence other people to enshrine themselves in another, so a simulation. So we're in the cube system here and then put ourselves energetically in a cube while we're here. Right. Great. More deception.
Yeah. Yeah. And then some people use the Merkaba to leave Earth. They use it to go home and return.
To astral project.
Like when they leave their bodies, maybe, yeah. But when they
Oh,
die, they program their Merkabas to help them.
oh, I wouldn't do that. Trying
Yeah.
to get out of the cube, using a cube to get you that. I think that's just going to take you right back into the. Maybe that's what it does. It's an assurity. I'm glad I deconstructed mine. Maybe it's a surety that you're going to go right back in because you did it while you were here. You don't even have to go through the tunnel of light. You go out of that cube, you're probably going right back in. You don't even have to go to the tunnel of light. You've already set yourself up for it. You already did the work here to and lock yourself in.
I muted myself.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
mm-mm. No way. I dismantled mine.
yeah.
Dismantled it.
How did you dismantle it? Did you set the intention or
Oh,
physically?
I actually physically saw a version of myself just tearing it apart.
Okay, okay.
And then
That's good.
using my energy, the broken pieces on the ground to basically incinerate it.
Yeah. Mm,
And then let myself out, my energetic self out. Yeah, I was like, yeah, but that's and once we started doing this episode, I was like, I'm glad I did
mm, yeah, I might
because it's
make sure there's
ridiculous.
yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, hey, anything else you want to add on the Saturn episode?
No, I think we'll probably have depressed people. Like
Right.
how much of the stuff there is out there, and like it's everywhere because I mean, I think people get it though. They already know we're in the system, but I just hope it's helped to illuminate for people. Like, just be careful where you're sending your energy to
Yeah. Yeah.
and your focus on,
Yeah. And
going to the
everything
more.
we talked about, it was researched and uh do your research yourself, any listeners, and come to your own conclusions. And I don't know. I'm still so, I'm going to educate my daughter on where holidays really stem from, but I don't think I can take that away from her, but I can teach. I don't know. I don't know where I stand on it yet because I'm like, ah, I don't want to teach her about Santa or anything. I don't think we're going to do that anymore, but I don't know. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll figure it out my,
Make your own. Why can't you make your own holiday up?
yeah, yeah. Maybe
You
just
know,
do it. Yeah. Yeah.
call it her second birthday, or uh, like I don't know, like I mean, because that's the thing. Like we're creative, so we can actually do something. Um, or set the if I mean, if people, I personally I won't do it just because I just don't want to take the chance of I don't want it having I don't want to give it any more energy or whatever. But maybe people could set the intention of like I'm doing this for me,
Yeah.
my way, on
Yeah.
my terms, and you get nothing from it.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I renounce you. Maybe you could do that,
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I don't think I
Um,
could take celebrating it away from her. I don't want her to live with that trauma or that longing of that. But I think I can and for anyone listening there, if you have any suggestions, but I think I can reframe it for a healthier way for her. Um, yeah.
well, and I think knowing, I mean, you know. you could probably change some of it in that way to where, um, because I think maybe that's was the key is when you're ignorant, you're just doing what you're doing and it's feeding off you that way
Yeah.
versus if you set intentions around it, maybe it can't. And so that's the whole point of trying to do this kind of stuff. And, I mean, I kind of see our channel as everybody brings something different. So the
Anyway.
one that you talked to, I always forget his name, but he's always got a green background. You mentioned sovereign
So Forever,
souls to,
forever
yeah,
conscious. Yeah.
yeah.
Love him.
So he's got his way
Mhm.
of bringing the information to people. Tony has, you know, oh, Kitty gotcha. Um, but Tony's got his way of, talking about he's doing his videos, talking about um, the different subjects he does, whether it's exposing new agers or whatever. The sovereign souls kind of read a lot of NDEs experiences and stuff like that. Or so I'm sorry, sovereign spirits. So I mean, everybody, I think we're just bringing something different to it. I don't see a lot of people talking about like especially in our current culture, I think how it's impacting us in that way. Um, whether it's through music, movies, or our holidays, or what's currently going on with the planets from an astrology perspective. Um, I think everybody brings something different to the table, but it's all needed.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So
Agree. I think that's a good way to end this episode. What do you think?
I think it's time. So everybody, don't go and be leash peddlers.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
No loose
Don't
pen.
do it. Bye.
We'll see y'all for next week's episode. All right. Bye. Y'all take care.